Пошел.
Не, он
Ох, ох, как классно видно в бинокль.
Фига себе осколки.
Ukrainian Air Force is continuing its daily strikes on Russian forces, the left bank of Kherson region. An airstrike on Russian forces was carried out by pilots of the 34th Separate Coastal Defense Brigade of the Ukrainian Marine Corps. A Ukrainian F-16 takes down a Russian Shahed drone, likely using an AIM-9 Sidewinder missile. Ukraine is successfully using jet fighters to shoot down Russian drones. Ukrainian paratroopers from the 71st Jaeger Brigade used drones to eliminate a large group of Russian motorcyclists heading for an assault near the village of Andriivka in Sumy region. Russian motorcyclist units, often used for rapid movement and reconnaissance, are taking heavy losses on the Ukrainian front lines. These troops, frequently seen riding in small columns on civilian dirt bikes or modified motorcycles, have become increasingly vulnerable to Ukrainian artillery, FPV drones, and ambush tactics. Designed for speed and flexibility, these units are poorly protected and often lack sufficient air cover or armored support. Ukrainian forces have learned to track and strike them quickly, especially in open terrain where escape is difficult. Despite Russian attempts to use them for surprise attacks and infiltration, the reality on the ground shows that these lightly equipped riders are suffering significant casualties. Video footage and battlefield reports reveal destroyed bikes and neutralized squads across several hotspots, particularly near Donetsk and the Zaporizhzhia front. Russia launched a brutal missile strike on the city of Dnipro today, firing at least 4 Iskander-M ballistic missiles from the Taganrog area. The attack struck residential zones and key civilian infrastructure, resulting in catastrophic loss of life and widespread destruction. According to regional officials, 17 people were killed and over 200 wounded, among them 19 children. One of the missiles slammed into a densely populated area near the central train station, hitting train number 52 traveling from Odessa to Zaporizhzhia. 5 passenger carriages were destroyed, with scenes of panic and devastation unfolding on the platform. Glass shards littered the floors of train cars, and first responders were forced to treat the wounded directly on site amid the wreckage. Homes, schools, and public infrastructure also suffered damage, underlining the civilian toll of Russia's continued strikes deep inside Ukrainian territory. This is yet another grim reminder that Russia continues to deliberately target civilians in its campaign of terror, as Ukraine calls on the world not to look away.
Короче, вот мы ехали в этом вагоне, и он туда, прилетело, взрыв такой был, капец, я упала, жесть просто. Один был, а потом прям в нас прилетело. Сидят кого-то там, вена что-то порезана, борода полная.
The president called on NATO countries to invest in Ukrainian defense companies and create joint ventures to increase arms production and support Ukraine. Volodymyr Zelensky spoke about the capabilities of the Ukrainian defense industry during his speech at the NATO summit in The Hague. The production potential of the Ukrainian defense industry has exceeded $35 billion and already offers about 1,000 samples of defense products, from artillery and armored vehicles to drones of all types and missiles. However, only about 45% of our capacity is utilized. We can already produce about 8 million drones annually, but funding is far from these figures, Volodymyr Zelensky said. He noted that today, Ukraine is open to various forms of cooperation in the defense sector, including the exchange of Ukrainian competencies and technological achievements with those who help the most. We must lead the arms race in the field of unmanned systems, both attack drones and interceptors, as well as traditional weapons, he added. It is worth noting that the announced capacity to produce 8 million drones is not fantastic. For example, in October last year, the president reported on the possibility of producing 4 million drones, of which 1.5 million units were contracted by the state at that time. Most of the million-dollar production volumes are accounted for by FPV drones, which are used in large quantities on the front line and have long since partially replaced the niche of precision missile weapons and artillery. Demand for FPVs is still growing, and so production is scaling up. In particular, Oleksiy Babenko, owner of the Ukrainian company Vyry Drone, said that according to average estimates, the annual assembly of 1 million drones from off-the-shelf components requires a staff of 400 employees. Accordingly, the conditional production of 8 million drones of this type is not a difficult task if there are enough resources. Also today, Militarny reported that the United Kingdom became one of the first countries to finance the licensed production of Ukrainian weapons at the facilities of British companies. The manufactured products will be used by the Ukrainian Defense Forces. The agreement, which covers the next 3 years, provides funding for the British government to purchase a wide range of Ukrainian drones to be jointly manufactured in the country. This will allow British defense companies to quickly design and manufacture state-of-the-art drones on a large scale. In the Dutch parliament, Zelensky called for total isolation of Russia, 18th sanctions package, $30 oil price cap, blocking its tanker fleet and cutting it off from the banking system. He stressed Ukraine must not be left alone and urged long-term defense programs and higher European military spending. Members of parliament welcomed him with applause. The UK Ministry of Defence has rejected a proposal to transfer surplus Warrior infantry fighting vehicles to Ukraine, citing concerns over cost, suitability, and the added burden on Ukraine's logistics and training systems. The decision was reported by the UK Defence Journal. Warrior infantry fighting vehicles are key platforms for the British Army to meet defence commitments. Although small numbers are scheduled for disposal, these will have been selected in line with serviceability and suitability for role. As such, without substantial investment, they are not likely to offer significant capability to Ukraine, and providing such small numbers would only increase the diversity of Ukraine's armored vehicle fleet, increasing their logistic and training burdens, said Defense Minister Luke Pollard in a written response to MP David Taylor. The response follows a public petition calling for the transfer of retired Warrior vehicles to Ukraine. The petition garnered more than 14,000 signatures, prompting an official reply from the government. The petition argues that Warrior IFVs, due to be retired by 2030, could be sent to strengthen Ukraine's defenses at no additional cost to the taxpayer, and claims that infantry fighting vehicles have proven to be an extremely effective tool on the battlefields of Ukraine. The petition will be considered for parliamentary debate if it reaches 100,000 signatures by the 4th of October 2025. As of the 23rd of June, it had collected just over 18,000. It remains unclear whether the Ministry of Defense is ruling out the transfer of all Warrior vehicles, or only those scheduled for disposal in 2025. As of 2024, the British Army operated 632 Warrior vehicles in multiple variants, including infantry fighting, command, artillery reconnaissance, repair and recovery, and fire control. As of 2025, 359 Warriors remain in service. The formal retirement process is expected to begin in 2027, with full decommissioning scheduled by 2030. An additional 80 vehicles, deemed to be in the poorest condition, are slated for disposal in 2025. However, before scrapping, they will be used as sources for spare parts to support the remaining fleet. Developed in the 1980s and produced through the 1990s, Warrior combat vehicles are equipped with a 30mm unstabilized cannon with a maximum rate of fire of 80 rounds per minute and a range of up to 1,500 meters. They offer frontal protection against 25mm armor-piercing rounds and 14.5mm rounds around the perimeter. Optional add-on armor kits are available. The vehicles are also equipped with thermal imaging and other battlefield systems.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.